Systems are not sexy, let's be honest, but results are. And for business success, for you to have a profitable enterprise that can work without you, you need systems. Systems are critical. What led you to becoming a business coach?
Well, that's a funny story because, growing up, I never thought I would be a business coach or listen to an Australian guy for hundreds of hours. But I always knew I loved business. Like once I really understood business and I loved people, like that was a trend all from having like my own babysitting business. Like I knew I had this entrepreneurial spirit and love people. So when my parents actually found the franchise and I was graduating with a business degree, that's what was my initial introduction to business coaching. And I still remember dragging my feet to help them kind of solidify their business plan for what they were starting. And then within 2 hours, I was begging them to be a part of it. So, that's almost 17 years ago now, but the rest is kind of history. But I just didn't even know what it was. Even with a business degree, I had never heard of it before. So I'm glad they introduced me to it.
What do you love the most about business coaching and working with clients and their businesses?
I think my favorite part is once we get past the initial challenges of everything and even those who we don't enter into coaching with, being able to reassure them that they're not alone, their challenges are not unique because they feel very alone in the challenges they're having. So even the ones that aren't ready right now or just, aren't ready for whatever reason, are not coachable, at least letting them know they're not alone. And then the ones who actually go into coaching, be able to see that transformation where I almost have to remind them, remember when your team was horrible and they weren't doing anything and you tried to do everything yourself or you didn't know your financials, and they just kind of laugh and reflect on the fact that, wow, I really have come so far because they almost don't remember what's happened throughout the coaching process. So I love that. I love the shift and the true change in the human being that I always say, you can't unsee this stuff. Once you see it, your mind has been shifted. And so just seeing every level of that unfold is so rewarding.
When you say business owners come to you, that initial challenge, what is that often, that initial challenge that you find most people have?
Yeah, I would say it all boils down to time, team, or money. And I almost say time is the crux of all of it, because the reason why they don't understand their money or don't have good financial systems in place is because they say they don't have time. And the reason they don't recruit as consistently as they need to is because they say they don't have time. The reason their team isn't great is because they're not taking the time to train them and onboard them properly. So I think if out of those three, it's always time, team, or money. But I think time is the most challenging. And ironically, it's their excuse for not doing coaching too. When I have time or when I get this done, then I'll start. When really the first thing we do with coaching is address time and help them even find the time for the things that are working on the business, because it's almost impossible to get an insight for yourself on what you should stop doing or what's really not a good use of your time until someone from the outside asks you good questions and helps you expose those things.
What's one thing, a piece of advice that you could give to business owners that are listening to this that could help them around, if they're finding that challenge around time, not having enough time to do the things that they want?
I think you said it. The theme, I feel to get any results is the more, whatever you measure improves. So, when you measure your time, all of a sudden you're much more vigilant to where it's being wasted. And even vigilant to things that maybe it's not a waste, but someone else could be doing it at a lower wage and you've really just gotten in the habit of that. Or maybe you just like it. Many of us watch TV or surf the internet or social media because we're just kind of checking out. But do we put parameters on that? Are we aware of how much checkout time is happening? And so I think it's down to measuring it is really what starts to light the possibility of what you could shift. And as a coach, you always want the person to identify what they could shift. I could tell you till I'm blue in the face that you need to stop being on social media so much. But when you actually measure and see where your time is going and you're not able to be with your kids or your spouse because of that, it starts to really make you realize that versus me telling you that that's an issue for everyone. It becomes relevant for you and your world.
And so tell me about a client that's come to you with the challenge and how did you help them overcome that?
So a client story that comes to mind is actually one that came in kind of a fix-it moment, because before finding us, he had engaged with a consultant that, promised to systematize his whole business for sale for only $100,000 upfront, got him connected with a very high interest loan to pay for that. It was over 5 weeks. I mean, they were there for hours and hours over the 5 weeks. But by the time I met with him, he literally was like, Juliet, I don't even know what they just did, or I have all these pieces of content and job descriptions and Excel documents, but I don't really know what to do with them. And so to start at that place where this had been a 20-year-old business, one that had been multi-million-dollar businesses that had like slipped over the years as he was less engaged, to coming on and in their first year, really having a better understanding of where he was losing money and being able to readjust that. He was having to go on job sites because they didn't have a good recruitment process. So being able to really get the right team on board. He's in a trades business that had a lot of like drugs, alcohol, crime kind of records of the employees. So like overcoming all of those things, and getting him refocused on sales, pricing things appropriately. He was able to actually double his business in a year. So he went from 1 million something to 2 million something. He's already at $500,000 in his first quarter this year. So he's on track for hitting 2.5 to 3 this year. So, but that wouldn't have been possible if there wasn't someone there really walking him through how to implement these things. And I think that's where, I feel really good about what we offer is that not only are we breaking a lump sum, which we charge way less than $100,000 in a year, but we're breaking it down into monthly or even weekly payments. And we're there really holding their hand, helping them through the challenges. When the ad didn't work right away, adjusting it. And so now he's winning and using that statewide to get employees. It's just all these little things that we're able to help and impact really starts to compound into doubling, like adding another $1 million a year was a major thing. He was able to pay down debt. He was able to put money away. And, he's got almost $500,000 in his bank account where he didn't have that before. So the sky's the limit for him. He started to hire a salesperson. So he's not even in sales anymore, which is a new exciting thing for him. So, to go from that situation where he was way behind and feeling like he invested in it wasn't a good investment to being able to get him to a cash flow positive place and adding savings and growing, but also just his mindset about what's possible now and feeling really reassured is so rewarding to be able to do that. And we've done that so many times, but I love that story because most people don't realize how we're different from other options and out there for helping you get there.
What's the best piece of business advice that you have ever received?
The underpinning message that I almost needed when I was younger that I got from different sources was just to give it a chance. So like one of my quotes is that quote from the hockey player about you miss all the shots that you don't take. And I think that underpinning I've gotten from a couple different sources, but it just keeps being reinforced of like, don't be so worried about it not being perfect or not scoring every time, but just keep taking shots, keep saying yes to things, even if you're uncomfortable and really being comfortable, being uncomfortable. I mean, I feel like that's kind of sums it up, like be in perturbation, be in uncomfortable land, keep pushing yourself, and amazing things happen every time I do that.
Hats off to you for committing to your learning by listening to this podcast. And if you'd like some help implementing some of these strategies, then click the link in the description to find your local action coach. They can help you put these strategies into action and take your business and your life to the next level. In the meantime, like and subscribe so that you're the first to get our next episode. We'll see you soon.